And welcome to the Coaches Show here on News Channel Nebraska. We are 7 weeks into the regular football season. This show, of course, brought to you by State Farm. Give Annette Alt a call today to discuss auto, home life, and renters insurance. So Coach Williams joining myself and Grant Otten like he always does in the first segment of this show. Coach, 7 weeks in, 2 weeks to go, and you're right where your team wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely. You set goals before the season starts. The kids sat down and set a number of goals, and one of those goals was to get to 7 wins this year. You don't get season goals in 1 week. You don't get them in one day. It's over the course of the season, and our kids have put themselves in position to go out and reach those goals.
Even for you this year, it's got to be wild going from last season, not being able to get a win, to come this season and where you guys are right now. That's such a drastic change you don't really see a lot of times in high school football. You probably knew coming into the season that you guys were going to be pretty good, but what's it like actually living and having these wins kind of just chalk up on the board?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a lot less stressful each week, going into practice, and we're having a lot of fun right now. The guys have had a great week of practice, and you look back to last year at this time, and we were really trying to grind through and come out and get better every day, knowing that we were going to be good down the road, but we were still a ways away from kicking it off this season when we thought we were going to have a good team. So, we're really enjoying the moment. The kids are out there having a good time, and we've had a great week of practice.
Well, Coach, let's take a look at last week's contest, shall we? Discover sitting at 5-2, coming off a dominant performance as they traveled up to South Sioux City. Now, you said on the show last week that they do some squirrely things, and they could have been a fairly tough opponent, but final score was 44-7.
Yeah, and defensively, they came out and really loaded the box. I mean, they had 9 guys within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. They had all 11 within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. We tried to run into that the first drive and went 3 and out to start the game. And from then on, though, we really went to our play action. And, you right here, Michael Cook, hits Caleb Esch on one of those play action plays. And them playing that many guys in the box really opened the play action pass game for us all night.
Well, when you look at that passer rating, that's pretty impressive. It's at 151, I believe, on there. And then you were just looking at that before the game, and you're like, well, that's pretty good, I think. So that's got to be exciting, and that's probably contributing to that as well.
Yeah, we only threw the ball 13 times. He completed 9 of them with 0 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. So that percentage that he had of touchdowns to completions really raises that quarterback rating. But he was on target. Guys were making catches and and getting in the end zone after they caught the football, which is important.
And one of those stats that pops out, Caleb Esch receiving 3 catches, 146 yards. He's averaging nearly 50 yards a catch. He also had 2 TDs. That's a pretty good fantasy stat line.
Yeah, that is. And, Caleb's a guy that we've tried to get the ball in different ways. I think we've talked about him before on here. He's just got a ton of speed and got that game-breaking ability that he can take it to the house at any time. And we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to get him in the right spot in this last game and use some of that play action to get him open.
We'll talk about defensively, too. Obviously, you guys had a great game, not allowing them to do much. Can you talk a little bit about the performance there?
Yeah, with all the misdirection and the hidden ball trick, if you will, because they really hide that football well. You can't find that thing. Our defense did give up some yards. We gave up a couple runs, but that didn't allow South Sioux City to put 2 or 3 of them together to get in the end zone until late in the fourth quarter. So, you got to tip your hat to those guys and really. They moved the line of scrimmage. They didn't allow those big boys to push them back, and they found the football and made tackles.
And Colton Wolf, one of your bell cows, obviously, when you run the ball. He's normally floating around that 20 to 30 carry mark. He had just 7 in the contest. And when you sat back and kind of saw how the game was progressing, did you think as a coach, hey, this is a contest where maybe we give our running back a little bit of a break or not run him so hard?
Well, to tell you the truth, we didn't run him in the second half because we took our starters out after one drive. And then in the first half, we were using him to set up the pass game. So everything we were doing, we were putting the ball in his gut and making everybody think he had it and then pulling it and throwing the football. So whether he had the football or not, he had a big impact on the outcome of the game.
When you look at this matchup coming up this week as we kind of watch the end of these highlights, Skyler, record-wise, a similar team to South Sioux City. You guys come up with a big win, but what's it like in practice, kind of trying to stay up for that, knowing that it maybe isn't the highest quality opponent, but if you don't show up, anyone can win on any given day.
Yeah, that's absolutely true in high school football, and that's why we go out and play the football game. But, we talked to our guys on Monday morning about this week, and last week was the same way. We really have to sit down and focus on ourselves. We're going to get back to doing doing after that Scott game what we do well. We're going to get back to running the football, running the play action pass, and taking what the other team's going to give us. And so we really concentrated on that this week. Concentrated on that last week, and our guys have come out this week and they've been fired up. I mean, we've had hits in this week of practice. So many of them. It's just been guys have been cheering each other on. It's just been outstanding and been fun to be around the practice field this week.
And as you speak now, just 2 weeks left in the regular season, sometimes you guys are bumps and bruises, start to accumulate. How is the general health of your squad heading into this final stretch?
Well, to be honest, I think we're a little healthier now than we were 2 weeks ago. And it helps that we're looking at a stretch of games here that could put us in a district title game, next week, and everybody wants to be healthy for that. So they're working hard to stay healthy and get in there and get their treatment with our trainer and do those things, do the right things to get back out on the field. So, we feel pretty good about where we're at right now.
Michael Cook, again, not starting at the beginning of the year, but came in, got the start, and he's been playing great ball since. But as a coach who works with the QBs a lot, what's it been like seeing his transformation come here towards the end of the season? And do you feel like he's a quarterback that if you guys get that playoff berth can help kind of carry you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've said it before that he can help us with his feet or with his arm. He's a kid that's really into the game. He understands and wants to learn about the game. But he's not willing he's willing to work on the little things. Things like getting some depth on the play action when you're sprinting out. Make sure you're getting depth, getting downhill. Those aren't things that some of the kids would just kind of blow off. Michael's really willing to come to practice and work on those things every day.
All right, Coach, about 2 minutes left to go, but let's just talk about the district landscape. You have Blair, you have yourselves, you have South Sioux City and Schuyler. Of course, you're playing Blair in the final game of the regular season, so it's basically, you take it one game at a time, but like you mentioned already, it could very much be for that district championship and a trip to the playoffs come week 9.
Well, I'll tell you what, we want to go out and win our game Friday night, obviously, and take care of our homecoming football game, to be in that game and give ourselves a chance. But, we would love nothing more than to have Blair coming in 2-0 and have a big matchup like that, have a game at home for the district title, last game of the year. I mean, that's what you play football for, that's what you coach football for, and honestly, that's what these fans that's what they come out and love to watch. So, I hope that all comes about next Friday night.
Let's just wrap up here, too, and you see these seniors who have gone from that season we talked a little about earlier where you guys weren't able to win the game last year, but coming here and the way they've come out and continued to play good ball. And once you guys got that first win over Bennington, it's just been kind of like a steamroller that has not stopped. So has it been cool to see their reaction, and are they kind of really thriving off this season?
Absolutely. We got a bunch of good kids and guys that, have been through the ringer a little bit. And, they've hit the lowest that they could last year, not winning a game. And now we'll see how high we can take this team this year.
All right, Coach. Well, wishing you the best luck on Friday, as we always do. Looking forward to it, and wishing you best luck on homecoming.
All right. Thank you.
All right, well, stay with us here on News Channel Nebraska, the Coaches Show. Lakeview head coach Kurt Frenzen is coming in. We're going to talk about the Vikings' victory over last week on Friday as well. Don't go anywhere here on the Coaches Show.
State Farm agent Annette Alt can help you find the right level of auto coverage. Call today at 402-564-8581. Rest easy. State Farm agent Annette Alt is there for you. Call 402-564-8581 today for the service you deserve.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Annette Alt in Columbus today.
Well, I love it. I know, right? I saw it and I was just like, oh, I have to have it.
Is it suede?
Suede. Love suede.
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
Well, I love it. I know, right? I saw it and I was like, have to have it. Is it suede? It's suede. I love suede.
That's why we're there, with renter's insurance when things go wrong, but also here with a rewards credit card to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Annette Alt in Columbus today.
love it.
So here on News Channel Nebraska, brought to you by State Farm. Give Annette Alt a call today to discuss home life and renters insurance. Brandon Axmit, Grant Otten, and now Coach Frenzen with the Lakeview Vikings. You had a loss against SCOTUS, and you were hoping for a rebound on Friday, and the Vikings did.
Yeah, I was really pleased with how we came out and got after it. We started off pretty slow, but we were able to settle in, play some good football.
Well, you talk about coming off of a loss to a rivalry team, and then you said you started a little slow. Can you talk about that progression from rebounding, from going down to just kind of going on a rampage and coming back for the victory?
Yeah, we just talked to them about, all week we need to get back to doing our job at all 11 positions, and I don't think we were doing that early in the game, and definitely defensively. I mean, we struggled a little bit to start the game, and they had some chunk plays on a couple big passes, but after we got some things figured out and started communicating a little bit better and started doing our job, good things happened on that side of the ball, and then the offense started clicking and kind of took off from there.
Well, let's take a look at the highlights. 42-28 was the final score. It was 21-14 at half. The Vikings were trailing, but as Coach Frenzen already said, they turned it on in the second half, so this is how we started things.
Yeah, we came out, they did some play action off a little trap pass that they had. We'd been biting on that pretty good, and they saw that and got after it. Fortunate enough for us, so the offensive line really settled in and played well early, and we were able to start getting the ball to Jordan. Jordan had a monster night for us at 180-some yards, I think, rushing, and I was just pleased with his overall effort. And we had the first score was just a nice wedge play by Jaden to get it up and over that pile of bodies there, and they came back though, and they were fired up, and I knew they would be. They played really tough against Adams Central and actually had that game won a couple different times. We had to play well to get the win.
Well, defensively, you guys not only offensively turned it on with that big point run, but turned it on defensively. Can you talk a little bit about that effort as you guys kind of figured things out?
Yeah, well, getting down 21-7, we needed to get our mind right, and we didn't have it right early on that side of the ball, but I thought we did some good things and settled in. And Nolan Beerguts really had a nice game for us at outside backer, and we moved him from inside to outside, and I thought he did a really nice job for us, and that allowed us to kind of get some things going in a better direction there. And we settled down and played a little bit better in the secondary, but it took a little bit of time. I think it was about a matter of getting confidence back on that side of the ball, and once we did, we were able to get things going, and our offense moved the ball well. But we had plays like this that really, I think, had our kids question things a little bit again. But I was really pleased with their demeanor. They came over the sideline and really supported each other, and that allowed us to get big plays like this one to Nick Dolezal.
Coach, this was the one completion in the contest. We saw it against the Shamrocks where you guys were forced to throw. Do you feel more comfortable when you're in a situation where you don't have to air it out as much and you can give it to guys like Jansen as well as Frenzen and Johnson, who had 67-plus rushing yards between the three of them at the minimum?
Yeah, we feel really good about our offensive line first and foremost, and you can see by the gap that we had there to run through to start the second half, and Jordan had taken off. That was the first play of the second half, and that really got us back in a good frame of mind. I think you can't start a half any better, I don't think. And but again, credit to GICC, they bounced back and answered. So, to answer your question, I think we're more of a running team this year, but I'm confident in our passing game, but I just feel our strength is in our offensive line and our power of our running backs. But I have no doubt or no question about what Nick Dolezal or Dakota Prorock or Jaden, for that matter, can do in our passing game, because they proved it time in and time out again for our offense.
When you talk about rebounding and having that kind of demeanor, you talked last week about telling the guys, hey, we're kind of restarting here, we're going to get the best guys on the field. Do you think that had an impact on kind of how they played this week?
Well, it seemed to. We wanted them to earn it, and like I said, we wanted that to, be the thing for our defense moving forward. We wanted that to be earned and something they have to work their tails off for, and I thought they did that, and that paid dividends for us. And and again, I think those things all go hand in hand. Once the defense started jiving, we were down 21-7, and then the defense started selling and playing better, and the offense obviously gained some confidence and started playing better, and all of a sudden we outscored them 35-7 to end the game. So, all those things work together, and along with special teams to have a complete game like that. You're going to have all three phases working together.
And you mentioned outscoring them 35-7 in that second half. What's that post-game talk like for you as a coach? You have to feel pretty pleased about how your team did that.
Well, the message is when we do things the right way at all 11 positions, we're a good football team, and we've shown that against some of the state's best. O'Neill's undefeated, and we started slow up there as well, and we come out the second half, and we actually outscore them 14-7 in the second half. We settled in and played pretty good football. Norfolk Catholic, we were down at halftime again, started slow, but came out the second half and traded punches with them. When we do things the right way at all 11 positions, I feel like we can play with anybody. But we are not a good enough football team or talent-wise to have people go off and do their own thing. And so I just had that conversation at practice not a half hour ago. We've got to dial in and do our job. And we had a couple moments at practice this evening. The effort's okay, but we're not communicating. We're not getting our job responsibility taken care of on defense. And once we started doing that again on defense tonight, we locked in and had a good practice, and I felt good about where we ended practice. But that's our theme starting after that SCOTUS game, and it's been that theme all last week, and it's been our theme this week, and it's going to continue to be our theme moving forward is focus on what your job is, do it to your best of your ability, and we got a shot to be successful.
Your guys' district is probably one of the more competitive ones right now in the state, and so do you think that's something that translates to the players in practice when they realize, there's a lot on the line here, and if we finish strong, things could fall the right way?
We haven't talked about it, Al, to be honest with you. There's an old adage that says a team takes the personality of their head coach, and you can start throwing a lot of numbers at me and facts like that. I'm going to lose focus, and so I don't want the kids to lose focus. And we are focused on Adams Central, and on a smaller scale, we are focused on each and every down and what our job responsibility is on those downs. And once we start looking outside of that, the head coach is going to start losing focus, and I guarantee the players are going to start losing focus. So to be quite honest with you, we haven't talked about anything. I've been doing this long enough to know if we start worrying about what happens outside, and if this happens or that happens, those things are going to cloud our judgment, going to cloud what we need to get done and our decision making. So we're focused on us right now, and we've really dialed in, and that's going to continue to be the message moving forward for these last two games.
Well, Coach, with about a minute and a half to go, let's talk about Adams Central. What do they bring to the table? They're sitting at 1-2 in the district.
Well, they pass the ball, at least going into our game, about 75% of the time, which is different than any other team we've seen this year. And that's not what Adams Central has traditionally done in the past. They've been a lot of Maryland I in the years past and a lot of power football. Now they're 2x2, they're 3x1. They're throwing it all over the yard. They got a nice freshman quarterback that's passed for about 1,800 yards or so. And they've really settled in. And done a nice job. They can move the ball, and they've done it consistently at times, and sometimes they've, not so consistent. But what I would say about Adams Central is they're dangerous, and they can spread the field, make you defend it. And so we're going to have to do a good job of doing that.
Well, coming into this game, it's got to be exciting because of the record schedule, but you can't really give up. Even though they're 1-2, you got to stay focused. So has the team, even though sometimes it's like the effort's good, but the focus is off, do you think when you see that prize at the end of the tunnel that they're going to be ready to go?
Our prize right now is a win against Adams Central, so they better be ready to go. And that's the only focus they need to have. And again, back to we've got to worry about them, because if we get outside of this week, it isn't going to matter.
All right, Coach, we're wishing you the best of luck as always.
We appreciate the coverage, guys. Enjoy coming down to talk to you, especially after a win like last week.
Coach Frenson and the Lakeview Vikings look to improve with their victory against Adams Central, hopefully on Friday. Stay with us here on News Channel Nebraska and the Coaches Show, as we are going to be hearing from Coach Tyler Linder and the SCOTUS Shamrock shortly. Like to remind you that you can watch this and re-air it on 6:30, 12:30, and 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays and Fridays. Stay with us, and we'll hear from Coach Linder shortly.
Rest easy. State Farm agent Annette Alt is there for you. Call 402-564-8581 today for the service you deserve. In Columbus, see your good neighbor State Farm agent Annette Alt for your insurance and financial needs.
Well, I love it. I know, right? I saw it and I was just like, oh, I have to have it.
Is it suede?
Suede. Love suede.
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
Well, I love it. I know, right? I saw it and I was like, have to have it. Is it suede? It's suede. I love suede.
That's why we're there with renter's insurance when things go wrong, but also here with a rewards credit card to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Annette Alt in Columbus today.
And welcome back to the third and final segment here for the Coaches Show this week. Joining us is head coach Tyler Linder. This brought to you by State Farm. Give Annette a call today, Annette Alt, and discuss auto, home, life, and renters insurance. Coach Tyler Linder joining myself and Grant Otten. What's the word today?
Just another great opportunity to get better as a football team, and happy to come in here and talk about our players.
All right, well, let's take a look at the game against Ord, something you probably don't want to look back on too much. You played better than the Chanticleers in about every facet. Unfortunately, you fell by 6 points, so we take a look from last Friday.
Yeah, obviously disappointed with a home loss to a talented Ord team, but we know that we left a win on the board last week. We like you alluded to, we out-yarded them on offense. We out-first downed them. We held the number one offense in Class C1 to 200 yards below their average. So we played well enough to win, but you got to execute in all phases, and we didn't last Friday. So got to eliminate the penalties and turnovers that kind of cost us the game, and there's really not a better week to do it than against Boone Central this week.
Looking at that turnover category, how do you think the team has recovered mentally? Because it's obviously a little bit lack of mental play when you talk about causing those turnovers, and no matter what facet, if it's a fumble, interception, anywhere in the game. But how do you think the team has responded coming into practice this week?
I think well. It's tough coming off of a loss, but that's really good motivation to get back at it. And so our kids know that we kind of cost ourselves the game last week. And so we've been very focused on the little things, paying more attention to detail, and really harping on ball security and those sorts of things. So if we don't get it cleaned up this week, it'll never happen. So we put a lot of emphasis there and hoping for great things come Friday.
You talked about that defense that held this top offense to a lot less yards than it's used to. What was working defensively that you were allowed to do that, I should say?
I think our pursuit to the ball is getting a lot better, from the first, few weeks of the season. But I think our tackling, all in all, has been a lot better. We're starting to get, more hats to the ball. And when you do that, you have an opportunity to bring talented running backs down early. And so we'll have to carry that over again this week. And we've done some things in practice to emphasize that kind of aggressive attitude.
You got a lot of big boys up front, and that's obviously a key for teams when they look at you. How do you feel you guys have been doing on the defensive line as you kind of progress here and look to face another good team in Boone Central?
I think we've been doing very well. We're kind of back to where we want to be as a team by having for the most part, an intact offensive line and a completely separate D line. Now, some of those guys, cross over from time to time, but when we're able to do that, we can stay fresh. And even if we are a little bit smaller on the D line, chances are we're going to be a lot more fresh and a lot, more in shape than the guys that we're going across. So, I think our linemen have held up well, in the last few weeks, and we're going to have to bring our A game against a very big and stout, offensive and defensive line that Albion and Boone Central has.
And how are you feeling offensively? Obviously, Shohan, who's been transferred to running back, doing quite well in this contest. Are you sitting healthy? Are you doing well? And are you liking what you see offensively besides, of course, those turnovers?
Injury-wise, we're as healthy as we have been, but there is still, a few illnesses kind of floating around. We've had a couple guys in and out of practice, this week. So according to our office personnel this morning, we're kind of back to where we need to be, having guys at practice. So, we're healthy and we're ready to get back after it.
When you look at Tyler Palmer, we usually kind of talk about him each week because he's a young quarterback. Not often you see a freshman playing on a quality team like you guys are. How's he doing mentally after this game? Because people look to the quarterback when offense is kind of the piece that was lacking in a game that you guys, I know, of course, thought and wanted to win. Is he responding all right, and what's his mindset like?
Yeah, TP's a gamer. He's a heck of a competitor. He's been competing at a very high level since he was a really young man. So, he's been watching a lot of film, kind of, digesting, a lot of things that went well and also things that didn't go so well. So, like I said, he's a competitor and he's always going to get better each and every week.
So moving forward, you have Boone Central, Newman, Grove this week, and let's just talk about the district landscape. There's 4 teams all tied at 2-1 between you, Lakeview, Ord, and the Cardinals. Of course, you guys need to win out, but what does that look like in terms of playoff position and playoff picture for you guys with these last 2 weeks remaining?
It's kind of hard to determine right now. Our future is in our hands, but in other ways it might not be. So all we can control is winning out. If we win out, we've got a shot at making the playoffs. we have to have a few things roll our way in order to lock that up. If Ord happens to lose one of their remaining 2 games, it puts us in a really good position. But that being said, we have to win our final 2 games in order to make that a reality. In the event that Ord does win out and we win out, it kind of goes to the second look at which is PowerPoints, and so that's always kind of a tricky thing. They take the top 8 district winners and then the next 8 PowerPoint teams. So sometimes that could be misread and misinterpreted because if a team that's 4-4 and very low on PowerPoints just so happens to win their district out west or something like that, they can knock a few teams out of contention with PowerPoints. So really the emphasis that we've been telling the SCOTUS faithful and our players is we have to control ourselves, and the only way that we can at least hope to get in the playoffs is to win out. And so that's been our focus going forward.
When you look at playing Boone Central, we've talked a lot of defense so far, but they got a strong ground game. What's kind of the focus been in practice for you guys?
They've got some very, very talented guys, and again, very big fellas up front that can really pave the way for some of those guys. But they've got a young quarterback and the Gentrip kid that's just really tearing it up for him. He can throw the deep ball, and he's a heck of a runner. So our first priority is to keep that young man in check and really try to bottle him up as much as we can, but also to give support to our secondary guys through our free safety play. That he's got some talented receivers, and he's got a heck of an arm that he can put it right on the money. So against Ord, they threw some very, very nice deep balls that we're going to have to prepare wholeheartedly for.
And of course, the new field up in Albion, I don't know, is this a trip you look forward to going to up there at the facilities, or do you kind of you go wherever the schedule takes you? I know you've talked about Pierce and the atmosphere before, kind of back in the forest or whatnot, so your thoughts traveling up to Albion?
Yeah, Albion's got a heck of a facility up there. It's recently been redone in the last few years, and so, it's a turf field, much to what we're accustomed to playing on, but I got to be honest, I've got some very bad memories on that field. Back in the day when they had a talented guy named Wyatt Mazur, it was my first game as a head coach, and we were right in it to the bitter end, and they ended up pulling away in the fourth quarter. And so, I still have kind of a sour taste about that game when I step on that field. So, hopefully Friday night we can remedy that.
And when you look at kind of defensively what they're doing, and they're a good team defensively too, they've been able to hold some good teams. They played Pierce was the first game we actually watched, so it's funny that you just kind of bring up that Pierce game, and that's a good matchup with them. Do you consider this kind of a rivalry game, and is the offense able to use that rivalry energy to kind of reboost their energy coming into this matchup?
Yeah, it seems like SCOTUS has a lot of rivalries kind of all over the place, and I think it's because we play quality competition. So wherever there's good games, there's always going to be hard-fought contests and a lot of emotion. And so, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. They've got a great stout defense, and it's going to be a heck of a battle. It can, I would expect it to be a fairly low-scoring game, and one that I think our offense is ready to perform well in.
All right, Coach, we're wrapping this one up. As always, wishing you the best of luck as you take on the Cardinals up in Albion this Friday.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate having me in.
Well, that wraps up another edition of the Coaches Show here on News Channel Nebraska. Be sure to stay tuned for all of the re-airing that happens at 6:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 4:30 on Thursday and Friday. I'm Brandon Axbett. He's Grant Ott, and he's Tyler Linder. We'll catch you next week.
Rest easy. State Farm agent Annette Alt is there for you. Call 402-564-8581 today for the service you deserve.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Annette Alt in Columbus today.
Well, I love it. I know, right? I saw it and I was just like, oh, I have to have it.
Is it suede?
Suede. Love suede.
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
Well, I love it. I know, right? I saw it and I was like, have to have it. Is it suede? It's suede. I love suede.
That's why we're there, with renter's insurance when things go wrong, but also here with a rewards credit card to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Annette Alt in Columbus today. In Columbus, Columbus, see your good neighbor State Farm agent Annette Alt for your insurance and financial needs. State Farm agent Annette Alt can help you find the right level of auto coverage. Call today at 402-564-8581.